All right. So an idea that I posted before the semester began was I was looking at kind of Japanese manhole covers and Japanese pop design and public art, and I kind of inked up this very complicated version of recycling. And there's a lot in this. And the problem is when you have a graphic symbol with a lot of content, I did this on purpose to show you kind of mistakes not to make. This does not then scale up or down very well. So when you shrink it, it's really hard to tell what you're looking at. So what I'm going to try to do is make those same ideas more clear, more engaging, more versatile. So I'm going to sketch them. And what kind of things am I going to sketch with? Well, I have a bottle. I have, instead of an arrow, which is always used for recycling, I'm using kind of a pointing arm. I kind of like that. I have aluminum cans, but they're not as visually recognizable as like a glass bottle. And then I have kind of the flower and the star, these kind of organic symbols to represent the earth, right? And I don't need kind of a dripping globe behind it. And I don't need all these little details. I need to clarify it to what am I really trying to say. So when I sketch, I like to sketch on just an index card, 3x5, on the blank side. I'm going to label it. So first is going to be central symmetrical. Just like that. And then, I know it's backwards, but you understand. Okay, then I'm going to look at my references and I'm going to think, well, what's central symmetrical? Central symmetrical should be centered. So on horizontal and vertical. So I'm going to make that and that. And then I'm going to say, okay, I want my bottle to be front and center. These are loose thumbnail sketches. So I'll make it like a beer bottle. And I want that kind of funky shape. So I'll do the little lip around it. There it is. And then how do I make that really clear? I'm going to have arrows pointing to it on the sides. Because you have to balance everything in central symmetrical. And then maybe I put an arrow underneath it. Because it doesn't need to be perfect symmetry. It just needs to be balanced off of the middle. Like that, right? And maybe that's my central symmetrical idea. But if I want it to feel more like an Earth Day thing, I can contain all of that with kind of the flower shape behind it. Kind of a daisy shape. Maybe something like that. So that might be a good central symmetrical Earth Day Achievement Badge approach. But next is dynamic. And we want to think this, not too fussy, not too many details. So if I'm looking at the different approaches, like this otter does, I did central symmetrical, now I want to do dynamic. I want to think of it moving with curves and diagonals, kind of like these. I'm going to look at my inspiration, and I'm going to label it. And now this is where maybe that pointing finger works better than an arrow. And I'll start drawing. So I've labeled it, and I'm going to do, let's see, a pointing finger that's kind of arcing across like a rainbow. Like that. And then I'm going to put at one end of it the bottle. And I say think of like two things to combine, but you can have three because I'm like adding in the flower. So there's the bottle. We have kind of this dynamically shaped arcing fist or finger pointing. And then I'm going to have that little kind of asterisk flower at the end. Right? So turn this, because this is flipped in your view, this into this, right? So now I want a play of positive and negative space. This is the trickiest one, and because I've interrogated my idea now, I can think what's the most effective way to play with cutouts, right? And the empty space making up one of these images. So I'm just going to label it positive, negative. I like working on an index card because it forces me to be in a small space, not to get too complicated. So this is what I have so far. Just labeled it. And I think I want to use the arrow. Turn that back on. And the flower. So I'm going to draw first kind of the flower shape. And then I want to think about, that's going to be the black shape. What do I cut out of it? And I'm going to draw that fist, or the pointing finger. I don't know why I keep calling it a fist. But a pointing finger. Right? And then I'm going to put the bottle, not central symmetrical, even though the flower shape is like that. You see there's the bottle, there's the hand, and then I'm just going to put little motion lines around it to keep it fun. Right, like that. Okay, so now I've got all three approaches. That's all you have to do. You're going to like some more than others, and then we go on to the next step. I got to post it. So you take a photo of it. I just did a screen grab. Nice thing about digitizing is now I can take that screen grab, double click it, open it in preview, go to tools, flip it horizontally so it's no longer flipped, right? So you see central symmetrical, dynamic, positive, negative. Now maybe the proportions of them aren't exactly what we want, right? But that's why we do a refined sketch next. But first we have to figure out which approach has the most potential. And some of them might be just failures. It's kind of weird that these are three separate symbols, right? Not interacting with each other much. All right, so I'm just going to clean it up a little bit and then post it as my first requirement for proving ground number 2. And I encourage you guys to do the same. I'm going to sharpen it. I'm going to take some of its color out. Just as long as we can clearly tell your 3 sketches, you'll meet that rubric. All right, good. Now I can close that. Preview automatically saves. I can go back to proving ground number 2. And now, because I'm putting some thought into it and time and interrogating the idea and thinking, how can I make it more clear? How can I simplify it down to just shapes? Again, thinking not in terms of line art, but thinking in terms of black solid shapes like this. This one is dynamic, but it's also a play of positive and negative space with the skull and the Nico head. It's a Day of the Dead symbol we did. All right, so now I'm going to click reply, and I'm going to post the first rubric requirement. I'm going to post my name. And the first rubric requirement you can see right here is create and post at least 3 rough thumbnail solutions for your logo design. Consider the 3 main approaches to logo design: central, symmetrical, dynamic, and a play of positive and negative space. So I've done that. And we're all doing the same theme unless you have a reason to do something else. This is the suggested theme. I'm hoping we can use them to support Earth Day activities next semester. So we'll print out either your black symbol or your color symbol, and I'll print them out on my dime so that we can use them in a college display in the library during Earth Day next semester. And hopefully the internet will work. It's kind of working. But we post those. And if it doesn't post like this, I just click on this edit button, because I clicked post before it had actually come in. And I'm just going to edit it. Come on, let me. All right, so I've now posted my sketches, right? And I say save or post or reply, whatever it is. That's the blue button, so that I see that it's posted. That meets this first requirement, as long as I have clearly those three approaches. And it helps to label them. That's because of this next step. And I spelled dynamic really wrong, but that's okay. I don't know why I have an extra M in there. You guys understand. So the next step, the next part of the rubric, is that you're going to write a response to at least one participating class member, not me. I don't need your input, but your fellow class members do, right? Giving them your opinion and your input on their thumbnails. Which one of their sketches has the most potential for a finished logo, and what suggestions, critiques do you have about that approach? So I'm going to pretend that this is another student, and I'm going to meet the second criteria by clicking reply underneath it. You're only required to write one critique, but you can write as many as you want. And in that, you have to make clear which one of their approaches you think has the most potential. So of these three, I think that the positive negative approach has the most potential for clarity and engagement. I'll just be really technical there. And then you have to say why. I like the eye movement of the arcing arm, but, and you can also say places for improvement, but make sure that the hand really looks like a pointing hand. Otherwise, it will be confusing. All right, then I hit reply. So what I want is for all of you to get at least one critique on your projects, on your sketches. Because now, even though I like certain ones, maybe I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll just be safe and I'll do this one. It makes a lot of sense. But then I get input and I say, oh, I'm glad that red. Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, I think if I refine that a little bit, it would be a good solution. So that is how you get full credit for your proving ground. You post your sketches with all three approaches. Please do label them clearly. And remember, they don't need to be beautiful or really well conceived even. You just need to push your idea through these three different approaches. They shouldn't be vastly different ideas, right? They should all be kind of struggling with the same thing. If you have a different theme that you're using other than Earth Day, like if you just really don't want to support Earth Day with your symbol, but you have another reason to develop a symbol or a logo for your portfolio, please say what that theme is, so that when we're looking at yours, we can kind of understand the intentions of it, right? In case they're not as clear. So if it's like for a dog walking company, you can put symbol logo for a dog walking company, and then we'll understand your central symmetrical approach and we'll understand your dynamic, and we'll understand your positive, negative. All right.